Today, I'm going to share with you 10 cold calling statistics that every freight broker needs to know in 2022. Now, the reason why I'm sharing these statistics with you is number one, I think you may be surprised, right? I think this may go against your common sense or even intuitive nature, is that some of these are going to surprise you. Number two, by understanding these statistics and these trends, it's going to help improve your overall sales conversion and performance. So number one, this may surprise you. 82% of buyers accept meetings with sellers who proactively reach out via cold call. I know, crazy, right? This is a statistic from Rain Group. They're a very credible group, all right? They gather this data at a large data set, and this is, I truly believe this is accurate data. So what I want you to understand and learn from that is that cold calling is not dead, but you have to evolve. You have to take a different approach, right? So the same smile and dial, one size fits all cold call is probably not going to work. That's the reason why I put together my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, which is where I take that piece of my brain, everything about freight broker sales, and I teach a whole bunch of students on how to do that. Now, that program is sold out, but I'll be reopening it relatively soon. If you guys want a chance to get on the wait list for that, let me pull up the link really quick. All right, here's what you do. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That is a training program. It's an advanced freight broker sales training program, right? So to get on the wait list, it sells out every single time. You get on the wait list, it doesn't cost you anything. When I open up enrollment, you'll be the first to get notified, okay? So just understand that invitation is open to you to get on the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator wait list. We've had amazing feedback. We've had over a couple hundred people, I think, have completed the exit survey now after the course, and we've asked them what they thought about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, asked them 1 to 10, their rating, and the average rating is like a 9.1 or 9.2. It's crazy, right? So here, let's jump into the next one, right? The second statistic that I think may surprise you, 49% of buyers prefer to be contacted through the phone. Almost 50% of buyers that are buying in the B2B environment, right? So your business to business sales, because that's what this is, right? That's also from the Rain Group, very credible source. So keep that in mind. When you have this aversion to sales and picking up the phone and cold calling, right? You got to understand, buyers, about half of the buyers out there prefer to be contacted by phone. Some of them want to be contacted by email. Some of them want to be contacted face-to-face. Some of them want to be contacted by social media or other environments. Some of them don't want to be contacted at all. But the fact is 49% prefer to be contacted via phone. Number three, successful cold calls last 2 times longer than unsuccessful ones. Now, the stats that they're providing here, this is from gong.io, which is a software that monitors and records sales calls for training purposes. So they've got a lot of data on this, okay? The average unsuccessful sales call is 3 minutes, 14 seconds, which I think is actually long. But the average successful sales call is 5 minutes, 50 seconds, almost twice as long, okay? And what does that tell you? That tells you that the salesperson is having a quality conversation. Not all sales conversations are equal. And what I mean by that is if you get on the phone with somebody and you spend 1 minute vomiting all over them or 2 minutes vomiting all over them, your spiel, and then they just give you the Heisman and tell you no, and the call ends in a minute or two, that's not a quality engagement. Now, it's a filtering process and it's something you have to do, but you have to build your sales script and your sales process to be engaging. That's a big reason why I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, why you can get on the wait list, is because you have to have a compelling and interesting sales hook that starts a two-way dialogue. It's all about having a dialogue. It's not about you vomiting all over your prospect and trying to pitch him on the first phone call, because that's really what it's not about. All right, number 4, successful cold calls include 65% more we statements. So rather than saying you and I, 65% of successful sales calls use the term we. So they're referring to the prospect and themselves as we, or we as a company, or we as in you and I, but they don't use the terms you and I, they use the terms we more often, which I thought was really interesting. Now, this may seem very subtle. That may seem very subtle to you, but if you can start integrating that term into your conversations, statistically speaking, it's going to help increase your conversions over time. All right. Number 5, opening your cold call with "how have you been" has a higher success rate for booking a meeting. Now, I have mixed feelings about this, but it's still a statistic. But what they're saying is opening your cold call with "how have you been" has a higher success rate for booking a meeting. And as I break that down in my mind, I think the reason why is because it creates a dialogue. It creates a conversation. Most salespeople, again, talk too much, don't listen enough, and don't ask interesting and compelling questions. And most salespeople make it all about them and not the prospect. This question that they're starting off with is "how have you been?" is engaging. It starts a dialogue and it's asking about them. I'm not surprised at the statistic. It's not my favorite way to start a phone call, but something you might want to test and see what type of results you get in your cold outreach. All right. So that's number 5. Number 6, the most successful sales prospecting calls average 14.3 minutes in length. And this is from revenue.io. Again, a very credible source. So the most successful sales prospecting calls average 14.3 minutes. And what I want you to extract from this and extrapolate from that is that quality over quantity. I'd rather have you have 3 quality conversations that last 14 minutes on average, right, in a day, versus having 20 conversations that last 1 or 2 minutes. I'm just telling you the truth. Those are the facts. Those 3 that last 10 or 15 minutes long, where the prospect is highly engaged and you're having a really quality conversation, are statistically going to close at a much higher rate than the shorter calls. So I want you to understand, you have to create those types of dialogues, those types of conversations. If you're finding your conversations are all less than a minute or 2, you need to work on the entire sales process, because there's a breakdown there, right? It's going to be very hard for you to generate any real interest or get any real shippers or convert and get any real sales on having these short 1 and 2 minute conversations. So you need to figure out a way to extend those conversations, right? Number 7, mentioning a common connection during a cold call can increase the likelihood of attaining a meeting by 70% or more. Now, this is a statistic from LinkedIn. So if you're doing outreach to a prospect and you can mention a common connection, someone that they know that you also know, can significantly increase the likelihood of scheduling a follow-up meeting, of getting a meeting, okay? So it increases it by literally by 70%. So these are cold calls, right? So we're talking about cold calls. So I want you to understand, if you do a little bit of research in advance and you find out some common connections that you have, and you're able to ascertain that they know that person and that's a real connection, then it could literally change the game when it comes to your sales outreach, all right? Number 8, 78% of sales representatives who use social media report that researching prospects on social networks helps them perform better on their job. Now, we just talked about LinkedIn. We just talked about doing a little bit of research. I'm a huge believer in gathering sales intelligence before I make a sales call, whether you're using Google, whether you're using the company's website, whether you're using a site like LinkedIn, whatever you're using, okay? But LinkedIn is one of my favorite sources for gathering sales intelligence and doing research before the call. So I want you to understand, I totally agree with this stat. I think sales intelligence is important. And I think that if you can share an in-common connection, like we talked about in the last statistic, it can be extremely powerful to building rapport and getting the next call, okay? All right, number 9, asking "is now a bad time" on a cold call makes you 40% less likely to book a meeting. How many of you are using that in your sales calls? Is now a bad time? Stop using those words. Is now a bad time? Those 5 words, don't use that phrase. Get that out of your prospecting call. Get that out of your cold call, right? Because statistically speaking, and I agree with this, it will decrease your likelihood of getting a follow-up call by 40%. So get that out of your language, all right? Number 10, 44% of salespeople do not follow up with a prospect after getting 1 rejection. Are you kidding me right now? You get 1 rejection from a prospect and you're not going to follow up? 44% of salespeople do not follow up after getting 1 rejection. Are you crazy? That's not the end. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of the sales process. You can't just give up after getting 1 objection or getting some rejection. It doesn't work that way. You all have heard this saying before, the fortune's in the follow-up. If someone tells you, no, they don't want to do business with you today, that's rejection. You're definitely not going to want to call tomorrow. But you are definitely going to want to get permission to try to follow up with them later, or you're going to want to schedule them for later, maybe 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks down the road, where you can schedule a follow-up. And by then, you're going to come up with a different sales hook to approach them. And who knows what can happen at that point, right? So you can't give up on a prospect after just getting a little bit of rejection, okay? So those are the top 10, but I'm going to give you a bonus. I put a bonus in here because, I was only going to do 10, and then I saw this one and I just thought it was great. 87% of prospects say salespeople do not understand their needs. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the number 1 reason why salespeople fail, because they don't understand their buyer. They don't take time to put together a perfect prospect profile. They don't understand their pain points. They don't understand what drives their business and their industry. They don't understand industry insights that are compelling. They're not paying attention to the news. They're not gathering sales intelligence. They're not educated about the prospects. Here's the thing. If you don't understand your customer, you are doomed to fail. Customers are telling us that. 87% of prospects say salespeople do not understand their needs. Salespeople understand the product they're selling, but they don't understand their prospects' needs. So that's the bonus, all right? So here's what I'm going to suggest. Take those 10 statistics, relate it back to yourself, extrapolate something, and try to put it to work today. But in the meantime, here's what I want you to do. Get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. That's the Freight Broker Sales Training Program. That's my advanced training program where I take that piece of my brain and I teach you everything about freight broker sales, everything that allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker, everything that allowed me to do business with thousands and thousands of customers in all kinds of different niches all over the United States, Canada, North America, and abroad. And all you got to do is get on the wait list. It's absolutely free at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That's how you get on the wait list. Again, it's absolutely free. Now, for those of you that are just getting started and need some help navigating the early startup and getting your business up and running, and just need somebody in your corner to help you, right, with a step-by-step process, and you want to check that out, just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day 100% unconditional money-back guarantee for anybody who's interested in becoming a freight broker or freight agent, and you can do it as fast as 30 days. I've had students in 30 days that are brokering freight, and I'm here to help, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed that.